Welcome to Backstage Pass with Gail Davis, your invitation into the world of keynote speaking and event planning expertise. Join us as we pull back the curtain and dive into exclusive interviews with speaking industry experts. From seasoned speakers to master event planners, we're here to provide you with the ultimate backstage experience. Get ready to unlock valuable insights, tips, and strategies that will elevate your events and leave your audience inspired. Welcome to GDA Podcast, to our first in-person edition. We, as a company, would not be here today if it weren't for our special guest, Nando Parrado. Nando is the reason that I started the company. He is the first speaker that we ever booked, and here we are 25 years later with over 321 bookings. Welcome, Nando.
Thank you, Gail. It's an honor and a privilege to be here at GDA. Who would have thought that when that phone rang in my office, 25, 26 years ago, I would be here with you and sharing some stories, some memories with your clients and your people.
I'm sure that almost everybody who knows GDA knows Nando's story, but just in case you don't, Nando is the hero of the 1972 plane crash in the Andes Mountains. This story has been referred to as the greatest survival story of all times. From the moment they crashed until Nando and Roberta Canessa walked out to find help, it was 72 days. And I first learned of this story by reading the book Alive by Piers Paul Reed. Then in 1992, about 20 years after the crash, there was a movie called Alive, and the actor Ethan Hawke portrayed Nando. And then Nando wrote his own book, Miracle in the Andes. And most recently, there has been a wonderful Netflix film called Society of the Snow, which was nominated for several Oscars. So I really think it's a testament to the fact that this story continues to resonate with people. What do you think it is that this story from so many years ago is so appealing?
I think, Gail, that this is a story. I wish I hadn't been in this story, but once that I assumed that this happened in my life, I had to go forward. But I always look back and I think how many people would love to speak to some Titanic survivors. Mm-hmm. And this is the Titanic of the air. And luckily we are still alive. So there's something in there that people want to still know and know more about the secrets about what happened over there. And even as the years go by, we get more and more requests to speak and to do interviews, because it's not very easy to have a story like this happening again.
Let's do a little bit of math. And I believe there were 49 passengers on board?
45.
45. And then there were 16 survivors. And today, how many of those 16 survivors are alive?
52 years later, we're a tough bunch, Uruguayans. 14 of the 16 are still alive.
It's amazing. Can you, I know it's very personal, but can you share about the birthday party that you have every year and what's happened over the years with the attendees?
Yeah, we crashed in October 13, 1972, in the middle of the Andes Mountains, and we rescued ourselves on December 22nd of 1972. So every year on December 22nd, we have a celebration. We celebrate life and we celebrate the story and the lives of our friends who didn't come back. We were a rugby team, so of the 17 players in our team, 12 died on that plane crash. So we are alive, we celebrate life. Now we are more than 180 descendants of the 16 survivors. But we also remember our friends who didn't come back. So it's not a party, it's a celebration, but it celebrates life and celebrates the memory of our fellow players and friends.
Well, speaking of celebrations, the reason we have the honor of having Nando in our office today. There's a couple of reasons, but one, he was in town to celebrate our company, GDA Speakers' 25th anniversary last Thursday night. I'm so glad you were there, Nando. Any thoughts or comments on the celebration?
Well, 25 years of a nice history of friendship with Gail and all the team that has worked in GDA through the years. It was so nice to see girls and members of GDA that I hadn't seen that started GDA so many years ago and were still there 25 years later for the celebration. This is a story, Gail, that, you know, it requested a lot from you, you know. It was a dream for you. I didn't know what I was getting on 25 years ago. I didn't know. And she created a fantastic company. Probably the best speakers bureau in the world is GDA. The way they work with professionalism and the way they take care of their clients, I haven't seen them anything like that all over the world.
You're partial for sure.
No, it's true, Gail. Everybody that speaks to me speaks about wonderful things about GDA and how they treat their clients and how they work together with the clients to achieve what they need.
Well, one of the things that stood out to me on Thursday night is having Elise Goot there. So Elise was the first person to give us a really big break. She had a conference where she hired 3 speakers. They were all well-known names, and she told me, oh, I like Nando's story, but I don't know. And then she met him and she took the risk. And it was a massive success. And then the following year Nando got to speak for SHRM, the Society of Human Resource Managers, which was a really big engagement in San Francisco. And I think it's because of that our name started getting out there and we started all the bookings. There's also something...
Because
yeah.
it's very important maybe for people to know that I never spoke, I never gave a conference for 26 years after the plane crash. And people say, why were you so traumatized? You had post-traumatic stress disorder. No, I was working, doing my sports, having my family, my businesses. Nobody called me to give a conference until Gail called me.
And that was funny because the request from the chairman of EDS was, I want someone new and different, someone that no one's heard, but everyone would like to hear, and I want someone that is global in their appeal. So it was a pretty tall order,
yeah.
And then I saw the movie Alive, and well, the rest is history, as they say. You know, talking about celebrations, we have the anniversary commemoration of the rescue. Nando was here for our 25th, and today is your birthday.
Oh, yes. That's it's
Feliz cumpleaños.
a very important date for me. It's December 9, and we are celebrating tonight with you and all the friends from GDA and my beautiful little wife and the pillar of my life, Veronique. And it's something strange to celebrate that in Dallas, no? Dallas, Texas, not in Montevideo, Uruguay. But these are the things that you remember in life, different, that make your life a little bit different, with a little bit of salt and pepper, because it's a different birthday celebration tonight.
And another celebration is when Nando and I first started, I had 1 speaker, 0 clients, and 0 employees. So it wasn't a great business plan. And in addition to meeting Elise Goot, Nando and I also had a meeting at Southern Methodist University, SMU, for the Tate Lecture Series. This was 25 years ago. And
they said no.
Yeah, they basically said no.
Why this guy is Uruguayan, maybe he doesn't speak English, or whatever. Why should we have him? But we are resilient, I think.
We are. Every year I pitch Nando, and I'm happy to say the best anniversary birthday present we could have is tomorrow night, December 10th, Nando Parrado is speaking at the SMU Tate Lecture Series. So that's a really big accomplishment that we're really proud of.
Yeah, I'm proud of you for getting this conference done, organized, and sometimes, things take time.
Yes. You've always taught me that. I'm a type A type person, and sometimes I would be very excited or maybe a little impatient, and Nando has such a different perspective about what's important in life, and he over the years would say to me,
Relax. Things
relax.
will happen slowly, but they will happen.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the main messages when you share your story, because clearly, there's no one in the audience who's been in a plane crash at cruising altitude. Maybe takeoff, maybe landing.
Yeah, I think it's, first of all, I shouldn't be here. It's a miracle that I'm speaking with you, Gail, with whatever is looking at this podcast. I shouldn't be here. But to survive a plane crash against a mountain at cruising speed and cruising altitude, and then surviving 72 days on the worst place a human being can survive, it's not easy. I'm grateful to God, to the Virgin Mary, who has helped me all through this trek and all through this ordeal, that I'm allowed to share with people things. And we are not heroes. People think that we had a lot of courage, we had a lot of cleverness, but no, we didn't survive because of that. And we survived because we were friends, we trusted each other, and we loved each other. So this is a survival story, probably bigger than any survival story that you have listened to, and it's not because of courage, heroism, it's because of love.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've sat with Nando for the past 25 years in numerous book signings. Initially, people would wait in line to get a copy of the book that Piers Paul Reed wrote, and Nando was signing that. And then he wrote his own book, which debuted as number 10 on the New York Times bestseller list. That's pretty epic for a first-time author. But one of the things that I've observed is the people in the audience, they wait patiently, and they want to meet Nando. And then sometimes they want to share their story and how this story has been an inspiration for them. And something that I've seen Nando write, normally he writes with friendship Nando. But if someone shares a really powerful story, I've seen him write the words, "We all have our own Andys." And to me, that's why this story resonates, because somebody got a cancer diagnosed earlier in the week. Somebody's marriage is failed. Somebody's lost a child. Somebody's lost a job. And they hear this story and they realize, maybe this is my Andes and I can get through it.
Yes, it's not because this is a huge survival story. Everybody has to survive every day. You have to work, you have to pay your dues, your taxes, your car gas, you have to pay the school for the children. You're surviving every day. And through that survival story of a life of a person, sometimes things go wrong. And our story is very well known because the media took over this story, but everybody has its own Andes sometimes in life. Sometimes, and you have to deal with it. Sometimes you have to deal with it. And you know what you were saying right now, when I finish one of my talks, conferences, people stay there. I have learned from you, I have learned from other speakers all over the world. And sometimes I go to events that a speaker speaks and everybody leaves the room as soon as they can, to go to the bar, to the pool, to whatever, to do whatever they have to do. They stay there, and they want to talk to me because everybody in a certain way has their own Andes, and they want to share things with me. And sometimes they think I have a solution, which many times I don't.
Yeah, it's very impressive. The other thing that we like to observe in these large audiences is the test. How many people get their phones out? Not to record, because we don't allow recording, but how many people get out their phones to look at their messages? And the answer is almost always none. It's just a story that grabs you in, and it's in ways almost unbelievable. And Nando's sharing so much information. He's sharing something that took 72 days to happen, and people are just really engaged. So that.
Yeah, sometimes I have different audiences, and first of all, you know, I'm not a speaker like any other speaker. I have my life, I have my businesses, my sports, my family. If I would take all the conferences they want a year, I wouldn't have a life. No, this is part of my life, only part of my life. But I look at the audiences, and when other speakers, also I look at their audiences, my audience is like frozen. They don't move, they don't breathe, they don't touch their phones, they don't go to the bathroom. It's like a photograph.
Yeah.
You know? They are really taken by the story and relating to what they're listening.
It was funny in planning the 25th anniversary of GDA, which is about the 30th anniversary of our friendship. Someone pointed out to me that one of our employees wasn't born when I started GDA. I was like, oh boy. But this is true for people regarding your story, Nando. There's so many people that weren't alive 53 years ago, yet this story is making a big impact. And I think a lot of that is the new film that J.A. Bayona did on Netflix, Society of the Snow. Talk a little bit about why he decided to remake it and what your role was.
Bayona, which is a fantastic Spanish director, Oscar-winning director, he was taking apart. He loved our story, and he said, I will make many movies in my life, but I will make the movie of my life, which is the Society of the Snow. This film has been seen by more than 150 million persons in the world. Many of those persons, more than 50%, are from 14 to 20 years old. You know, young people take this story because they relate to it. Young people now, they think everything is fast, everything is easy, and in this story they see that young people, very young people, almost teenagers, some of them, had to fight for their lives in a way that it's impossible to think now. And young people, they want to have success every time, in studies, love, work, whatever. And when they fail, they get depressed. And they will fail a lot in life. You know, they will fail a lot of times. And that is life, that is experience. Nobody gets a huge success in everything very easily. You know, very, very easy. Unless you inherit a lot of money, you will have to work.
You have a cameo in the movie.
Yeah.
Can you give people insight on where they might see you in the movie Society of the Snow?
It's
actually powerful.
Yeah, I didn't know I was going to do a cameo in the movie, but Bayona, the director, he's very smart, and he had everything planned. I think they were filming an airport scene in Montevideo, in Uruguay. There were 3-4 days on the airport filming over there, and I went there. I'm a television producer. I like to see always cameras and action and directors and producers and how they work. And I was there with my wife Veronique, and Bayona comes to me and said, come on, follow me. And I follow him. We went into a dressing room. There were clothes there hanging, my size, everything, makeup. I said, what are you doing? Come on, follow. They dressed me up, and he said, you stand here, you walk to that door, and you open the door. That's the only thing you have to do. Are you sure? Yeah, okay. So I did it 3 times, and I opened the door. I opened the door of the airport, and I opened the door to Nando and his family who are coming into the airport. So it's Nando Parrado opening the door to Nando Parrado, who's coming for the flight of his life.
Yeah, it's an amazing film, and it was nominated for 2 Oscars, is that correct?
Yeah, it got a lot of awards in Venice, you know, in Europe, and it was nominated for 2 Oscar awards for the direction of the film, best film, non-American film, and for makeup. But it's a very tough competition, you know.
Sure.
But just the fact of being nominated, there were 1,000 movies who were not nominated, so that was a triumph for us.
And you and Veronique got to attend the Oscars. What was that like?
Yeah, we were blessed with a new experience. How many? I was telling my wife Veronique, how many people would love to be here with us?
Me.
So let's okay, let's enjoy this. Let's enjoy this. So we were taken by black SUVs to the red carpet. We walked the red carpet, went into the Oscars, and saw all the ceremony there, and then we went out of the ceremony and had a small party with people from the film on a restaurant. So it was interesting.
Something that struck with me was what a long day you had. You start getting ready like at 11. You leave your hotel.
Yeah, it's a stressful day. Even we got a note from the organizer saying eat a healthful breakfast. Eat a lot of breakfast because for 7-8 hours you won't eat anything. Just in case, as a survival expert, I put some bars in my tuxedo over there. Those that you buy on the supermarket, Walgreens or whatever, when you go on a trek. I took 2 of those, Veronique also, and we went for an 8-hour ceremony.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to wrap up, and I know that the listeners, there are people who have not had you speak. There are people who've had you speak, and there are people who've had you speak multiple times. I know you get so many requests. Can you talk about what kind of an event really is a good fit for you when you're selecting? You get all these requests, and how do you select the ones that you accept?
Really? Sincerely.
Sincerely,
Well,
yeah. How do you do it? Because
Really?
I cry every time he says no.
Luckily, I can choose. I have sold 2 of my companies in Uruguay, so I have a little bit more time, and I don't want to rush to a place like I've seen speakers who do 70 speeches a year. I say, how do you do it? Well, I live on an airplane. No. I do 8 conferences a year. How do I choose them? The best places, if I get a beautiful city like Rome, New York, Dallas, Singapore, whatever, and I really go there and enjoy with my wife or my PA. My PA is my daughter or somebody from GDA that help me when I'm away from home. And the best places and the best fees. Do you want me to be sincere or not?
That's right.
The best places and best fees. At this time in my life, I can choose.
It's
So-
such a good point when you think back to when we started,
Yeah.
and we wanted to get our mark out there, and it's been funny to see what's happened to the fee, but it is true. You have a beautiful life, and speaking requires you to leave your grandchildren, leave your children, leave your dogs, be on an airplane, be away from home. So
So I just was, is it worth it? I mean, do I need it? Or if it's in our summer, it's
Yes,
very difficult.
yes.
I have a nice home on the beach. I was like, why should I go to the winter?
Yeah, it's hard to
Fly
get
12
them in
hours.
January.
We are always 12 hours away by plane from any place.
Yeah.
Which is good. It's not 2 hours or 3 hours. It's 12 hours
Yeah.
from any place.
And I think after the pandemic, a lot of the direct flights and the frequency of flights were changed out of
Change a
Uruguay.
lot.
He used to be able to fly direct to Dallas. That's not an option anymore. So there's lots of stops. But
You always have to take 2 or 3, even 4 planes to get there. So it's not easy.
But the one thing I can tell you, when he does commit, he has never missed a sound check. He's never missed an event, and he is all in when he's there.
And it might sound a little bit strange or anything. The only thing I can say is that if I ever go to an event, or whichever event, any place in the world, it will be the best event in the history of the company or the event. Why? Because it happens all the time. People come to me, my company has 100 years. This is the best conference in the history of the company. There is an event, a leadership event in Madrid, and 7,000 attendees vote. This is the best conference we have ever seen. So if you play tennis and you win Wimbledon, Roland Garros, Australian Open, maybe you're a good tennis player.
I think
No?
so.
So if you go to events and you are always rated the best speaker in the history of the event, maybe there is something there.
Yeah, and I think it's because you're not really a speaker, you're just a genuine, great person who just tells a story from the heart. And you don't try to teach a lesson. You share your story and you let people make their own conclusions.
Everybody, this is like a film, you know? It's the end, it says the end, people stay in the seat and say, okay, which part do I choose here? What happened to me? You know,
Yeah.
This is different.
Yeah, it is true. Well, thank you, Nando, and thank you to all of those of you who are listening. Nando is the beginning, and I think he's going to play a pretty important role in the next years to come for GDA. So if you haven't had him at your conference yet, let's chat about it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us on Backstage Pass with Gail Davis. Tune in for more exclusive interviews and pro tips to elevate your events. Don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts with us. We'll catch you next time behind the curtain on Backstage Pass.